Just look at that, how fizzy that is, guys. If you've never tried kombucha or never even heard about it, you're definitely missing out on life. Because kombucha is known as the elixir of life, and it's one of the best probiotic drinks that you can make, which is healthy for you and tastes really amazing. I've posted about kombucha before and I've posted a detailed video on my Instagram, so I thought why not make an updated version here on YouTube so that all of you can make it with me and share your results as well. Let's start with the basics. For making kombucha, you're going to need a scoby, which is known as the symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast, and this is basically the fermentation starter, or the starter, basically the culture which is going to brew your kombucha, along with some starter tea. So if you make curd or yogurt, you might be knowing that you need a little bit of curd or yogurt at the first place to make your own yogurt or curd. The same way here, we're going to need the starter tea and scoby to brew the kombucha. The same logic applies to sourdough bread and all the other kinds of fermented dishes as well. This can be easily found on Amazon. I'm going to link this down below. This is not at all sponsored, but I've used this multiple times, and I also used this for the previous video that I did. And this is the scoby by People Farm, and overall I really like their product. It's quite affordable as well, and if you don't want to buy this, you can ask one of your friends who might be brewing kombucha so that they can give you their additional scoby or starter tea. The first step is to sterilize all the equipment that you're going to use, and for that you're going to just need some water and add some vinegar into it. Then bring that to a boil and then wash all of your equipments with this liquid. Talking about the equipment that you need to sterilize includes a big pot, a glass jar, something like an achar vessel, then a measuring cup or something like that which you can just later use to scoop out the liquid, a spatula, a strainer, and your any kind of measuring equipments. And lastly, just a plate. After washing your tools with this vinegar liquid, make sure to wash it back with regular water as well. We start by taking a large pot. I'm using a Dutch oven here. I'm going to add all of the water inside this. This is 2 liters, but you can find the exact measurements in the caption below. Make sure that this is sterilized properly. Into this, we're going to add in 3/4 cups of sugar, and then we'll turn on the heat and let the sugar dissolve. This should take around 2 minutes. Using that sterilized spatula, I'm just going to stir this sugar so that it's evenly distributed. For making kombucha, you'll ideally need some black tea, and this is what is traditionally used, but you can also use green tea, but that will definitely give you a different result than we want. So as much as I'm stressing on the fact that you need to sterilize everything, make sure that your hands are super clean as well. And now that the sugar is dissolved, I'm going to turn off the heat. Into this, we are now going to add in our 6 tea bags, and these are black tea like I said, but you can also use 12 grams of loose tea. And now we wait for 10 minutes. 10 minutes are up, and you can see that our tea has brewed completely. I have used a lighter version of black tea, so that's why the color is lightly brown. But if you can find dark black tea, that will be really great. Now we're going to remove these tea bags and then keep them aside and let this mixture cool down completely till it comes to room temperature. So it can take around 1 hour as well. So I'm going to just cover this with a lid, and then you can do whatever you want in the meanwhile. So it's been around an hour, and now I can just touch with my clean fingers and just see if it's at room temperature, and yes, it is at room temperature now. So I'm going to take this sterilized cup and I'm going to transfer all of this tea into my vessel. Make sure to use a glass vessel, guys. Do not try to use metal or something, because that will react with your kombucha, not even plastic. You can also just lift this up and pour it all inside the vessel, but I don't want to spill anything, especially on this rustic wooden table which I don't want to ruin. So I'm going to go and try pouring it in. Perfect. So the idea is to actually do it fast, otherwise you will spill everywhere. Now all you have to do is just open this bag and remove the scoby and the liquid from it. So I just like to strain this liquid. You can also strain the tea if you want. For that I'm just using this strainer. Now I'm just going to carefully strain this out. Because this liquid is a lot viscous because of the scoby, you just want to make sure it's clear. So this is the viscous liquid that I was talking about, and here is our scoby. You're going to use this for the fermentation, And if there's any excess scoby attached to the scoby, you can also put that like this, which is totally fine. That is just the baby scoby, which is going to turn into a full disc later on. So now the scoby does look very weird and quite viscous and mucus-like to me, and that is definitely going to gross you out. But don't be alarmed and just use it. And for now, I'm keeping this on a plate on the side. Now all of the starter tea goes on top of that black brewed tea. Perfect. Now we'll give that a little stir. That's it. And top this off with the scoby that we have kept aside. We just need to place it just on top. It's always going to come floating up. Even if it doesn't, that's totally fine. Perfect. Lastly, you need a muslin cloth or anything of that sort, and then just fold it in 4 parts. And now we'll just place this muslin cloth on top of the vessel and just tighten this using a rubber band. Perfect. And that looks aesthetic as well, right? We are ready for the first ferment, also known as F1, and I'd just like to label my kombucha for no reason in particular. You can also write down the date here so that you can remember when you started your ferment. So now we're going to keep this in a covered closet anywhere the sunlight cannot enter, and then we're going to keep it there for at least 7 to 10 days in a climate like mine, which is India. And if you're living where it's cold country, then make sure that you keep it for longer time, for around 15 days. A lot of people actually go up till 30 or 40 days as well. So it depends on how you like it. It should be a little acidic in taste, but we'll get to that later. So in this vial, the sugar in there is going to basically be the food for the scoby, and the scoby will feed off the sugar, and there will be less and less sugar as you proceed, and the kombucha will become sour and acidic in taste. That is why there is not going to be much sugar in this drink at the end of the process. And this is the F1, like I said, first ferment, and this is the main step. But after this, the second part of this video is going to be really great as well, so stay tuned for that. So guys, it's been 15 days and our kombucha is ready. This is the F1 or the first ferment, and you can see that the color has lightened up a little bit, and a new scoby has developed on top, which means that it has perfectly fermented. Now this is not necessary that scoby will be developed in your kombucha as well, so just don't look for that as a sign. And for me, I just wanted a little more acidic flavor and less of sugar. That is why I let it go till 15 days, and also because winters are going on. If you're watching this in summers or in a hot climate city, make sure to not ferment it over 10 days. And if you want it to be a little less sour, then also ferment it for less days. If you're confused about the number of days that you should let it go for, you can also taste your kombucha with a straw. So make sure to just gently open this, just like that, and take a straw and just taste the kombucha from the side. Do not use any steel objects like a spoon or something like that. Just use a straw. Right now I can see a few bubbles, which means this is perfectly done. Now let's strain this. Now if you're planning to make another batch of kombucha, which I highly recommend that you do, make sure to remove your scobies or just one scoby carefully with your clean hands. Remember, everything during the process should be completely sterilized or clean, and clean of course. So this is my first scoby and this is the new one, and it has perfectly developed. I'm also removing the other one now. Perfect. And now, if you remember, we needed some starter tea to do this entire process. For that, I'm going to remove 400 ml of the tea, so that of the kombucha itself, so that we can make another batch. That is going to act as a starter tea. So now I'm going to carefully add 400 ml of my kombucha. Or 20 ml more or less, that is totally fine. And we have exact 400 ml over here. So this is our starter tea. So now this is the kombucha that you can drink, and it is totally ready. You can just have it right away, or else you can just refrigerate it normally. And this is the first ferment, F1. And with that, the first part of this 2-part kombucha series is done. Make sure to watch the second part to know how to make this fizzy and be much better in taste and flavor and texture. So make sure to check out that, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much. Now let's carefully open this one. Just look at that. The kombucha